Hello, everyone. I just want to make this video about Claude chat. A lot of people are using Claude, but they don't know which one it is. So this is going to be a small demo just to make an explanation. So a lot of people are asking which one should you use or which one should I use. Claude now offers several ways to work with AI. But three of the most important are Claude chat, Cowork, and Claude Code. So at first they can look very similar. They can all communicate with you, work with information, create files, and connect to tools, right? But they are designed for very different types of work. The easiest way to remember the difference is chat actually is for thinking, right? If you want to think something through, Claude chat is the traditional conversational experience where this is where you work back and forth. You type something, it gives a response. You brainstorm on ideas, you write and improve content, you research a topic, you analyze options, just like ChatGPT chat, right? You work through decision, you understand a complicated subject. Think of Claude chat as your thinking partner. So it's actually your thinking partner right here. You think through the tools, you write and you say, give me 10 best ideas for breakfast in summer, for example. It gives you, it's a random chat. It just thinks through things for you. It's equally on the web, as we could see. It gives you all these ideas. So it thinks for you, it does this for you, it gives you all these random things for you. So it's up to you to think about it. So it's your thinking partner. For example, you might just ask, help me develop a product. You may equally just say, help me develop a product. Help me develop 3 strategies for launching a new product. So we paste this in. It's just going to develop these 3 strategies for launching a product. So it's just a thought process. But there is an important signal that we have to take into consideration. Claude gives you ideas, you respond, you refine them together and continue the conversation. Chat is best when the conversation itself is part of the work, right? But there is an important signal that you may need something else. If Claude gives you information and you find yourself copying it into documents, organizing files, combining reports, or manually completing several follow-up steps, that may be a job for co-work. So if you have to copy here and put here and do this, that's a job for co-workers. Let's say you want to go for co-work here. So you have chat here, you have to decide to go. So, okay, I want to do a co-work here. So you delegate a task. So it changes a relationship. You delegate. Instead of asking Claude individual questions, you give it a goal. So what's your goal? What do you want to accomplish? You give it a goal. Think of co-works like an AI assistant or digital employee. So it's like that employee of yours, right? You might say, review these reports, identify the major trends, create an executive summary, and prepare a presentation for tomorrow's meeting. That is a task you're giving. You give it something, and you tell it to do this for me. Specifically, just say, do this for me. You give this prompt to co-work. It's going to review the reports that you've given it, identify major trends, create an executive summary, prepare a presentation for the meeting. As co-work can break that goal into multiple steps, create a checklist, go through those steps, and use connected tools and files and return with a finished product. So the key difference is the finish line. Claude chat tries to give you a good response. So here with chat, you have a response, just give you a response. Co-work, you have a task. So you have to choose, for example, the folder where you want to put it in. Maybe you want to create a new folder. You want to make a manual. Where do you want to put it? So it tells you where do you want this task to be completed. You want an email review and replies. You want a person. So it gives you the task, things to complete. Chat is just complete. Now, if you probably want to add files, you can always add contextual files here, like review these. What kind of skills you want to do? You want to do connector. You want to connect. You can ask it to go into your Slack, your Stripe, your Gmail account, and you could add connector. So it can go right inside there and do work for you. Then co-work is especially useful for tasks such as creating research reports, reviewing multiple documents, preparing spreadsheets, organizing folders, you summarize emails and meeting information, preparing recording reports, and creating finished business documents. So it does that as well. So co-work can also perform schedule work. So you could assign it to say schedule. One new thing that came is schedule time. Say every Monday do this. So daily briefing, it does this for you. So, for example, I have one needs your attention today across the calendar. So it goes into my calendar every day at 8 a.m., checks it, and gives me a report what needs to be done. So every day it says this. Another one is a meeting prep, a short brief before you meeting on you. So it creates a preparation for me every morning for me to have that scheduled task to prepare for a meeting. So it looks at my meeting and creates them. So current ideas, draft a few post ideas each week from the latest news in the industry. It gives you ideas. You could make it to monitor a specific topic. You could look for it, a trend. When people use trend, because so when the stock goes down, do this. When this goes down, inform me. So you could set it up. It could organize your inbox. So you say, every day, check my email and make sure this organizing, fix it, put things into folders, things into specific labels or drives. It could organize your work for you. So instead of prompting Claude every morning or every Monday, so every Monday when you come, you say, do this, the task can be configured on the run automatically. So you come every day, I don't have to come and ask a question or do this. So I've already scheduled it into the task. It does the work for me on a scheduled basis. So that's that's what CoWorks does. So that is where AI starts moving beyond simply answering questions and towards dedicated work, right? So instead of prompting Claude every Monday, the task can just, you configure it to run automatically. You don't just have to come and prompt every day. There's no need for prompting again. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Claude Code. Now, before we get to Claude Code, I want to talk about the pricing here. Now, Claude comes in 3 prices for individuals. It has the free plan, it has the pro plan, it has the max plan. Free plan has basic things. Pro plan has which has everything in the free, but you have to notice that it has specifically, it includes code, core, and design. Design you have here, Claude Science. These are tools. If you notice, the free plan doesn't have core work and probably has executes code. That's the difference. Now, everything that is in the free plan is included in the pro plan. Now, the pro plan has the code, the core work, the design, the science, and all the other things. So you could Claude for Microsoft 365, you have all that, and everything that is included in the free plan. Now, the difference between the pro and the max is that the max turbocharges the pro plan. It goes 5 times or 20 times X, because it doesn't mean that you pay and you use unlimited. After some time, it tells you we're going to talk about a usage, and you see usage limits, how the usage limits are. Higher output limits for all tasks, early access, advanced load features, priority access at high tariffs. So this one turbocharges your usage. You have a lot of usage to work with, because when you start working with the pro plan, it may tell you, you've used all your credits, you're done. So that's the difference between these plans. Other than that, you have enterprise plans like company plans and things like that they do have, they do use. And then some plans, they have the API integration where you integrate into your applications. You do equally have options for team members. So if you want to have you have multiple people working together, buy it for the team. So those are in the team of a minimum of 2. So you have a minimum of 2 here. So it starts at this, and you have that amount there. 2 or more people, you buy these plans here. Other than that, you must well go with the individual plans. One for a lot of people are buying this plan because they notice that this one is really limited when they start getting used to it. Okay, let's get back to Claude Code. So we've talked about the code. Now we'll talk about code. Code is actually the plan where you build stuff. That is where you do the coding, right? Then we have the code. If Claude Chat is your thinking partner, CoWork is your assistant. Claude Code is actually your AI engineer. It builds stuff for you. You think about something you want to build, you give it to it, it's built. So Claude Code is designed to build things like websites, applications, internal business tools, dashboards, build automations, APIs, do Chrome extensions, software prototypes, and things like that. And important, you do not necessarily need to be a professional software designer, right? You don't have to be a software developer to start using it. It's coding in plain English. So you describe what you want to do, and it codes it. So I'm going to do an example here. So you are not an engineer, you are not a software designer, you are not a software developer, and you write something in code like this. You describe the task you want to accomplish. Build me an internal dashboard that pulls recruitment metrics from our database and displays applications, interviews, hires, and this. Once you click on hire, once you click on it, it's going to ask you where do you want to store it. For example, let's say I want agent, I want to make it as a blog. I want to put it here as chat, and I start building. So it's just going to build. You're going to enable notification. Okay, you don't know now. It's just going to build it for you. It just builds. So it creates you everything, connects to GitHub if you want. I'm already connected to my GitHub account. You could actually give a command. There are many things you could type here. Again, this is the web version. The web version is here. So Claude Code can create can create a project structure, can write code, can modify files. Technical users can also work with existing code bases like GitHub. So if you want to connect to a GitHub, you could do that. The easiest question to ask yourself is, am I wishing a tool existed to solve this problem? If the answer is yes, Claude Code may be the right place to start. So how to choose? If you have to choose between these three, code, chat, co-work, and code, how do you choose it? If you need to explore ideas, for example, use Claude Chat, right? If you want to just explore ideas, definitely going to use chat. So it's going to ask me to integrate which database for the recruitment. So it asks me questions, and I provide them these questions, and it just builds it. So if you have your database, if you have this information, it's going to go walk you through those steps. If you already know the outcome you want, you use co-work. So if you already know what you want to achieve, you so analyze these 20 documents and prepare an executive report. So you could do that. Another case is, so if you need a tool or an application to solve a problem, right, use Claude Code. Build an application that automates this process. So you chat is to think, co-work is to delegate, code is to build. Understanding this distinction is important because one of the biggest mistakes people make with AI is using chat for everything. So a lot of people just come here and they're just using chat and they feel like chat, that's all about AI tools. It's not only about chat. They ask the AI a question, receive an answer, and then spend another hour manually assembling, organizing, and completing the work themselves, right? So with tools like co-work and code, more of the work can move from AI-assisted work to AI-executed work. So you go from assisted to execution. And that is the bigger shift we are beginning to see these days. Like we have agentic tools that are moving to assisted work or executed work. And so an AI is no longer only something we talk to. Increasingly, it is something we can think with, delegate to, and build with. So remember, Claude Chat is to think, co-work is to delegate, and Claude Code to build. Once you understand those three roles, deciding which Claude tool to use becomes much easier. So we've been using the web version as you see. I'm going to briefly show you the desktop version. So if you install a desktop version, you're going to have something like this, and you have something like this we can configure. So you install on your desktop, it sees all your repos, that's code, and then you could use the co-work here and this. Another thing too is that you could connect to your phone. It has mobile versions where you connect to your phone, connect to your computer, and you can delegate work right from there. Sometimes people connect Claude to their terminal. So if I'm using a terminal like this, for example, connect Claude to it. So I want to connect Claude to my terminal. All I need to do is Claude, I type Claude, and it connects me to my terminal, to this MCP server. So I want to see, let's say I want to connect most of my, I want to connect my stuff. I see like the MCP servers, like things you could connect to, your Gmail, your calendar, things so you connect right from the terminal, right here. Connect from. Another thing you could see is your usage here. You type your usage. It's going to tell you your usage here. The current session, if you use 5%, if you use percent, it gives you an idea. So with commands, you could actually connect to a terminal, build stuff right from, integrate it with your terminal and use it from there. So that's basic about Claude Code. For those who want to use it, there are actually 3 different forms of Claude: Claude Code, and co-work. Again, remember that you could schedule tasks. Co-work, you could schedule things that run automatically on a schedule basis. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.